Daptime, a time dedicated to applying principles that invigorate, motivate, and elevate. Daptime, a time where dope, adventurous people think individually to mutually empower. Full episodes can be found at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or on our website at www.itsdaptime.com. You can also follow us on YouTube at Daptime TV. Don't forget to subscribe to us on Instagram at Daptime21, Twitter at Dap_time, and Facebook at Daptime. Thank you for your continued support. We're proud to partner with Harrell Eyewear to bring you this episode, makers of stylish and innovative luxury prescription and non-prescription glasses for all occasions. For more information, visit the partner link on our website or go directly to www.harrelleyewear.com. Harrell Eyewear. Never lose your identity. It's time.
Yo. Welcome back to another episode of Daptime. I am AJ, also known as B-Dub, Bobby Westbrook, and as always, I'm here alongside my partner in crime, the one and only world-renowned Big Dame. And that groove that you hear is, as always, being provided by our in-house maestro. Never drops the needle anywhere but on the one. He nice. The three of us are delighted to welcome you back to another episode of Daptime, wherein we hope we make you laugh, learn something, and live your life a little bit better. Well, yo, Daptimers, we are rounding third, heading on into home on Health 360 2021. We're going to be talking about emotional health today, and with a slight deviation from our mainstream Keep It Live programming, because we're going to definitely talk about today's biggest event, Derek Chauvin found guilty. So this is be an exciting conversation Big Dame and I are going to jump into. So it's obviously now time. Relax your spine, activate your mind. Let's get it. What's happening, Big Dame?
What's up, bro? How you doing, man?
Man, I'm doing well, brother. I'm doing well. I've got both feet on the ground and my head is not in the clouds. So I'm where I need to be.
That's a good place, man. You're covering a lot of ground. There, you know.
I'm two-stepping to the groove.
I can't be mad at that.
How are you?
I'm good, man. Life is well. The blessings are continuous, you know?
I love that. The blessings need to continue. Choir queued up. I don't think we could definitely get into the meat of this conversation without acknowledging the loss of hip-hop icon. I think you can call him an icon. DMX recently passed.
Definitely.
And, it's interesting. It made me think about a number of different things, as a man of faith, very sincere in that part of my life for sure, which is the basis of my life. Still a very avid fan of hip hop and a wide range of genres, not just You Can't Touch This by MC Hammer,
right,
or or Will Smith's Getting Jiggy with It,
right.
But I love a lot of, I can't say all because there's definitely some trash out there, but I love a lot of it, right? So with that, I'm curious, how do you feel? How do you process that particular loss?
Well, it's always unfortunate when somebody suffers an untimely demise. They leave us what we consider too soon, but I guess, it's not our calendar, it's not our clock, right? So, but it does seem like it was too soon. Always unfortunate. I think with him, and I'm normally not the one I don't jump all over celebrity passings or celebrity news too heavy. It's unfortunate. I feel for the family, but I usually keep it moving. This one felt a little different just because he was he was everyday people. He was everyday people. And he never changed. You know what I mean? From as big as he got, of course, 98, I believe it was when he first really made his big debut. He dropped 2 albums in 1 year. I think both of them went platinum. So, he was the hottest thing moving, and he was still just X. You know what I mean? And all his problems, all his issues, everything that he had with him, and what I really appreciated about him was, because you said as a man of faith, but you didn't say a man of perfection. And I think a lot of
Very
times
true.
when people hear faith, they think, oh, well, you can't do that. Well, it's a walk. It's a journey. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
And so that's one thing I really appreciated about him is I think there are people in the corners of society that we don't think about that he was able to touch because they saw somebody who was imperfect, but very sincerely sincere in his faith. You know what I mean? And
Right.
what that meant to him. And he wasn't afraid he was unapologetic and unafraid to speak speak that truth to power. So,
I think to some degree, he was the best example of everything that I believe the spirit of hip hop to be. When I think back to being a kid and the early days of hip hop when it was this novice, form of art form, you had people in society, older adults who were like, what's all this? You got to battle through dance and stuff. What's all this b-boy stuff?
what's all this boopity boop?
All this boopity boop. Where you taking pop like it now?
Right.
All this was happening, but it was born, when you look at its history, it's born out of frustration. What was going on in New York City at the time, particularly as Reaganomics was starting to really set root. Then you look at what eventually happens as our communities are not only undermined economically by the system, but then they're undermined economically by the politics of the system and moves it's making with drugs coming in. And so you have social and economic destruction happening at a rapid pace. And hip hop became more than just a voice about pain and heartache for art's sake. It became a medium to tell the world about what was going on and about some of that heartache and put color on it. And I think that spirit of fight, I want better, I should have better, this shouldn't be happening. It came out in some songs like Self-Destruction and others that were very politicized. Public Enemy certainly noted a lot of that. But then you look at X and you hear his story, and he really highlights the battle of darkness versus light. His music is very harsh, and it highlights kind of this, this mindset of survival in this dark place. And then when he do interviews or you see conversations and he talk about the press to find God and righteousness and his faith and really being a driver, and no matter what, you have to continue to remember God is over all of it. I mean, he was very adamant about that. And his prayers were always very sincere. You got the sense that you're watching somebody's fight to find hope in Christ. If you really look at his life with a very, very clear eye. And, as sad as it is for his life to have ended with all of the noise around it, you know above all that God has to be pleased with his life, because, the Bible tells us that, you want to remember, God wants you to recognize him at all times and in all things. And I think sometimes, people of faith in various religions, especially in hyper spiritualized circles, will say all times that are acceptable.
Right.
But that's not what's written in the text. You know what I'm saying? And so when you see X as a man who's, notably struggled with different things, he never lost sight of, if it's not for God, I don't have a reason to be breathing this morning. And that's the overarching message. So I think, quintessential example of how you persist in the fight no matter what, and never lose sight. And certainly one that will be missed. I don't think we'll ever see it duplicated again.
Oh no, he was definitely a one-on-one. One of one. Absolutely.
101.
Absolutely.
And if your ears are sensitive, I don't encourage you to listen to his music.
Yeah, no. It's funny, man. I think of his first two albums. It's Dark and Hell is Hot, and then of course, Flesh of My Flesh, Blood of My Blood. I believe was the second.
Flesh of My Flesh. Yeah.
So and I was those are the two main ones I think of. But I was attempting to do a top five, right? As I was in pre-production, I'm sitting here attempting to do a top five DMX songs, and as I got going through, there's no way. There's absolutely no. It's just too many great songs. It's
Right.
impossible. So yeah, he a lot of good work and a lot of good work, a lot of good music.
A lot of good work.
Yeah. So.
Prayerfully, he is resting in peace. For you Daptimers, we are deviating from normal programming format today. As we said at the outset, the Derek Chauvin verdict came down, and Big Dame and I in pre-production were talking a little bit and realized there's a lot to unpack here. We're not trying to politicize this, not going to make this radical social, but just want to put some thoughts and ideas that we had together and share those in our normal conversation format. And hopefully it sparks additional thought and insight and ways to have the conversations that I'm sure everybody's having somewhere, the workplace, neighborhood, around the dinner table, etc. But we still want to recognize this month we're celebrating and recognizing autism and encouraging people to find ways to support and get involved. We put some of those resources on our website, so definitely check that out on www.itsdaptime.com and click on the resources tab to find out more about that. Big Dame verdict happens today. Derek Chauvin found guilty and responsible for the death of George Floyd a year ago. Mm-hmm. Tell me what some of your initial thoughts and feelings were, just as a launch pad.
You know what was interesting to me when I saw it? It surprised me that I felt it was good to see. It felt good to see justice starting to be served. We're not done yet, but it's starting. We're starting to see some semblance of justice with this stuff, right? And it felt good. It was almost like a weight, you know what I mean? Like a relief, if you will, something like that. But it surprised me. It really did. It surprised me that I felt that way. And what it told me was, I think, I can remember Rodney King was probably the first police brutality instance, televised one. I'm talking about where it's on video. Right. We know what happened. Everybody sees what happened. Not guilty, right? Clear, cut and dry case. That was the first time I saw that. Somewhere between, and that bothered me. I think I was still in high school when that happened. That bothered me. So from somewhere between Rodney King and Dante Wright, let's not forget him, but we'll say George Floyd. Somewhere between then and now, I got numb. You know what I mean? I got numb. So somewhere along the line with all the others, I guess had been putting that somewhere, not expecting justice, I didn't want to set myself up for the fall, that type of thing. So yeah, that's the thing that jumped out to me is it felt good for the right thing to be happening. I guess that was the initial thought.
Right.
Yeah.
I had a different thought. I mean, definitely I can concur with all your sentiments because, we saw so many since Rodney King, so many instances escalating.
Yeah.
Right. And so for me, there was a part of me that I think the numbness is still there to some degree.
Sure.
But I thought back to the day that OJ's verdict was read. And I remember being in a conference room. I may have shared this in a previous episode, but we were having a company-wide training that day. And there were three of us who were Black in that meeting, and four of us that were Black in that meeting. And I remember when they rolled it, they stopped the training, like, oh, they're about to read the verdict. And so the CEO of the company rolled in this big TV, switches on the channel, everybody's quiet, and you're looking around the room, and, those of us who were Black, we happened to not be sitting together. We were kind of dispersed in the room. The verdict is read, and the anger in that room went to a feverish pitch, like TV shut off. People were murmuring, CEOs like, I'm giving everybody 30, just if you need 30 minutes to just get your mind back together, and people leave the room, and everybody left the room except for us.
Right.
We're all kind of like not sure how to respond. And then when they leave the room, it's like, do you believe they let him off?
Right.
Because I'm sure the feeling was like, oh, I bet they're happy. But I mean, we were just like, yo, they'd actually let him get off with this.
Right.
Today, I thought the opposite, right? It was the same kind of do you believe moment, but only this time it was like, man, I can't believe they actually did this. Well, now, is he going to get sentenced right, or is there going to be, whatever? But it was a different kind. Like I said, it resonated on a deeper level, right? At the same time, I'm mindful of all these other people and their statements and their Twitter feeds of, yeah, we got one. And I was like, but there have been 3 more just in the last 10 days. What's up with Breonna Taylor? You know what I mean? I'm just, it's like, there's a part of me that is certainly happy for his family, for George Floyd's family, and for the citizens of Minnesota who have felt the most immediate brunt of that pain. And you mentioned, Dante's situation, which is recent. So there's still a lot going on. So for them, I definitely feel like this is a step towards the right direction. But my feelings are certainly mixed because there's so much more to do. And so there's a part of me that is reserved because I'm like, yeah, but is this like a makeup call? Or, you know what I'm saying? Like, you have that makeup call in a game. Like, it don't mean they're going to start calling them your way.
Right.
They're just making up for that one.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's, and I guess my question then out of this is that fair? Is it fair for me to withhold really appreciating this moment?
I think it's to be expected. I mean, when I said it felt good, I didn't say gleeful. I mean, it felt better than hearing not guilty. You know what I mean?
Right.
But yeah, and I'm right there with you, bro. It's like there was that initial, wow, okay, that's a change. That's pretty cool.
Right.
I hope we don't let our guard down now because this ain't over by a long shot.
It reminded me, I hate to cut you off.
No, you could.
But it reminded me of going to that one soul food spot that they have good food, right? But they never have everything that's on the menu, right? That you want. So like you go and you're like, ooh, I'm about to go down to Earl's. I'm going to get them ribs. But you go and it's like, yeah. No ribs today. We only have wings. You're like, well, can I get the catfish? Just wings, no sides.
Right. Yeah. It's not over just because we just walked in the door. So we got to complete the meal. We got to put the plate together. We got to eat. We got to get dessert. Yeah, I agree with you. That's a perfect example.
So where do you think, I guess this is the other part of it, right? So where do you think we go from here? Because one of the and this is a hard discovery, right? So I got people texting me that some of my white friends, text or whatever. I haven't responded to not one of them, not one. In fact, the only text I responded to, I've only responded to like 3, but one of them, it comes from my homegirl, Amber Johnson. Big shout out to Amber Johnson down in Atlanta, a new follower of Daptime as well.
Big up, Amber.
And supporter. Okay. Big up to Amber and her young family. But to some of my white friends, man, I haven't responded. And I haven't responded, Dan, because it is more complex to me. Yeah. Right. And I don't, like, I'm not even, like, they're more outwardly happy about this than I am. And so I'm kind of processing my own thing. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I think it depends on how. That's interesting, man. That's an interesting place to be. You know what I mean? So I think, I think it's been going on so long. I really do believe that there are some white people, who are just now gaining an understanding. It's hard for me to believe, but when I step aside and I try to, because ultimately we're trying to get to a better place, right? Whatever. So we got to try to understand, even though we might be sitting there like, man, you really don't see that. You really don't see that? You know what I'm saying? But we have to take their word for it, and we have to understand that maybe they don't. You know what I mean? The thing is with that is I've come to realize over the last couple of years, I think some of them really just it never occurred to them. They never really got it. They really, really thought, you know what? That guy had to have done something to get himself shot. You know what I'm saying? He had to. Well, look how he ran. I mean, police shot him in the back. I mean, but he ran. It's the cops. Just stop and do what they. You know what I mean? And I think the George Floyd situation, as unfortunate as it was a mirror, man. And it really sat. Okay, you're not gonna see all of these other cases. Here's one for you. And you on lockdown, so you in the house. Watch that over and over and over and over again. And tell me that ain't, you know what I mean? It had to wake you up to it. So, you know, I feel where you coming from. Like, don't come at me with like hey, congratulations. This is not we didn't win office, you know. But you know, when the George Floyd thing happened initially, I saw there were white friends that were reaching out to say, hey, I'm sorry. You know, I mean, they genuinely, I did not realize. You know what I mean? Okay, cool. You know what I mean? So now I think that's probably some of what we're going to see from them. Some of those ones that, okay, wow, man, this must make you feel better. You know, we're getting somewhere, but we're woke, so to speak. So we know this ain't, you know, we got a long ways to go. Yeah. So
you make that puts a nail on it really well, because to me, and maybe that's part of it, you know, you get the empathy, you get sympathy when last year. And I think people thought they were empathizing that were just sympathizing. Like they didn't really stop and say, well, what's it like to be in your shoes? You know, because then you hear the stories that we have. Right. Because I think it's hard for them to believe, like, yeah, I've had to negotiate my way out of a situation that could have went that direction. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? They don't, you know, they see you in the office, or they see you at the gym, or your neighbors, and you speak every day, and you go to work, they go to work, they know you you're a decent human being. So they, you know, clearly that hasn't happened to you. That happens to those guys.
Right.
And it's like, nah. If you run across 10 black men in your path, 8.5 of them have, probably all 10 have been in a situation that if the conversation goes left, they're right there.
Absolutely.
And frankly, you know, it could have been good fortune, and definitely was somebody praying for them that kept it from going left.
No doubt.
You know, so I think the reality is, you know, if because of how many it's been, you know, it's hard to articulate. Like, if you really want to know how I feel about it, it would probably take you right back to where you were last year.
Yeah.
Versus, you know, hey, we should celebrate this. Like, you don't know how deeply happy I am that family got justice.
Yeah.
Because there's so many families that we know did not and are not and will not without continuous change. So with that, I want to pause real quick and give a quick shout out to our partners. How we feeling? We've been telling you guys, these guys are now in the app store for iTunes. So you can download this yourself. But How We Feeling is reinventing the way that you have authentic engagement online. This app is so cool. You can create journeys about just about anything you're working towards in your life. And you can create relationships and follow that thread and get feedback. It's really a rich engagement. I was describing Big Dave for somebody it's like the fries at McDonald's. Like the emotional wellness piece of this app are the fries. What you can do on top of that are like the burgers, the filet of fish, the St. Patrick's Day milkshake. It's all that and the nuggets. So it's a really amazing app. But for authentic engagement online, nothing compares. So visit their website, www.howwefeelin.com. Go to the App Store, download the app, and start a journey today. Everybody's got a story. Everybody's got a journey. Just change where you're sharing yours online today. Big Dame, the other part, we've been talking about the shelving thing. The other part that I wanted to kind of throw at you is, during this, we saw the movement, Black Lives Matter and a whole bunch of other activism. A lot of times when we see something that is the impetus, it is the catalyst to start movements. When that thing seems to be resolved, then the movement kind of dissipates, right? How do you think we'll see what we started seeing continue in a productive way? Or do you think that we will not see it continue in a productive way?
I hope we do. But I think what's so pivotal about this case is the fact, and we've been tiptoeing up to it for a while, legislation. That's what it's going to take. They know that. Here's what's interesting to me. The general society as a whole, the United States of America, the government, clearly understand the principle of rewarding good behavior, putting things in place to discourage bad behavior. They understand this. Hence, your credit is bad. If you go out here and get a bunch of credit cards and get a car and don't pay nobody, guess what? Your credit going to be bad, and then your interest rates are going to be it's going to cost you so much more than it is for somebody else just to live, because you're not going to qualify for those good rewards, right? I think it's the same thing. So they understand that process. We have to do something to curtail one behavior and, encourage another behavior. But for some reason, when it comes to this, we don't understand. We don't. You see what I'm saying? That's my issue. So that's my issue, because I'm not dumb, and I know you're not dumb, because you get it over here. So then why don't you really get it over here? What's really going on? You know what I mean? Those are the questions I have to ask myself. So I think this case right here, we're there. We're there. Matter of fact, there was a law, a young lady named Carrie O'Horn. I don't know if you're familiar with her. Out of Buffalo, New York. Back in 2006, she's out. She's a cop in Buffalo. She's out. She's with her partner or whatever other officers were with her. One of the officers had a suspect cuffed, black man. The officer was white. She's black. The other officer was white, and the suspect was black. So he had the guy cuffed and started choking him. I don't know what exactly transpired to get to the point of choking him, but he ended up choking him. So the guy he specifically said, "I can't breathe." So she stopped him. She stopped the other cop. She pulled him off of the guy, like, "Hey, stop. He can't breathe," And whatever happened. She ends up getting fired. They took her pension, the whole 9 yards. Yeah, she crossed that blue line. That's that blue line. It's real. Wow. It's real. So this was in 2006, right? So she's been fighting it in court since probably like 2008, maybe. I don't know. Maybe since 2006. Okay. But anyway, make a long story short, she just won her case. She's been made pension eligible. So now she's back. They're admitting that. And they gave him the other cop, they gave him a lawsuit. He won a lawsuit against her for defamation of character. So they reversed that. Yeah, they went back and said, okay, you're a cop again. You're pension eligible. And on top of that, during that time, she was also fighting to have Carrio's law implemented, which is basically a legislation that makes it the duty of any officer on the scene to intervene if there's a brutality issue. So if a guy has his knee on somebody's neck for 8 minutes and 46 seconds, at about minute 2, when the guy is cuffed and huffing and puffing, it's your duty now. Now you have to do something. You better do something or all of y'all going down. So
Right.
that's been passed in Buffalo. But
Okay.
the thing is, something like that that has to become widespread. That's the type of work that needs to be done now. You know what I'm saying? We've got precedent in the courtroom. So now you
Yeah.
can't just say, oh, I thought it was my taser, even though I've been on the force for 26 years and I'm a training officer. So I clearly know that my taser is on my less dominant side, even though I pulled from my dominant side. You see what I'm saying? You can't use
Right.
these excuses as easily anymore because now there's precedent. Hey, if you mess up and we see it, we can reference this case now and say, it happened here. Qualified
So
immunity didn't work.
let's touch on that a little bit. You're referencing Dante's case where she alleges she pulled. Well, she says she didn't allege. She pulled her taser. She believes she had her taser, but she actually grabs her service weapon and shoots him and kills him subsequently. Is it who's more at fault? And this is more, I guess, theoretical question, but who would you say is more at fault in that instance? Is it her? If we look at just the facts, we would say automatically it's her. But let's assume for 26 years, she's never been in a situation where she's had to use her service weapon before. Let's say at year 14, 15, she's looking for administrative gigs. She's been on an administrative gig, basically, a booking clerk, moving up the ranks. And because she's been around at year 20, but not ready to retire, she takes the test. She becomes a training officer. She's never been in a situation in the field to do something like that. Is she still the person most at fault, or is it her superior officers who promote her and allow her to be in that position, having never been in that situation?
If that's the case, if she was promoted just to, hey, we're going to give you your last few years doing this, give you a little pay increase and yada, yada, yada. If that's what happened, absolutely, it's the superior officers. It's a systemic issue at the end of the day. I'll tell you what, even going back to Chauvin, Derek Chauvin, I looked at him today as somewhat of I don't want to call him a victim, but he's a pawn. He's a pawn. I'll put it like that. There was a reason he felt as comfortable as he felt to do what he did. There was a reason. None of those other officers lifted a finger to do anything. Right. That's the culture. So when you create, it's like these women talk about, sometimes they talk about these no good men, right?
Right.
Sometimes if you've created a culture where you go for certain things, at some point you have to look in the mirror and say, whose fault is it? Whose fault is that every man you've dated for the last 5 years, none of them got a car?
Right.
Or a job. What's going on? But you was with him for 6 months, 8 months, a year, you know what I mean? He didn't have a car on day one or a job.
You're dating with a "we'll fix him up" sign on, but you're mad that they're bringing you broken down vehicles.
Exactly. You're mad the carburetor don't work, but you wanted a fixer upper. You know what I mean? But so that's interesting to me that that's really what that's what it is. And the only way to break a systemic issue is through legislation, in my opinion. You have to change laws. You have to make it unsavory to get yourself in a situation like this.
So how do you think people like you and I get involved? How do you think the everyday person who has been going to work, they've bought a Black Lives Matter t-shirt, they've given to a Black Lives Matter cause, they've shown up in their local town once or twice for a rally, but now, maybe the rallies aren't popping off as much, the t-shirt's not as popular, but they want to continue this. I mean, because I do think there's some people who they have been awakened and they want to remain advocates. They want to be proactive, but they're trying to do it by just starting conversations with people in their everyday path or being nicer to Black people when they see them in the store and stuff like that. How do we get involved to keep the conversation not only going, but to really ensure things like legislation happen? What do you think is the step we have to take?
Well, I mean, I think we definitely have to continue to this sounds cliche, but we got to vote locally. I mean, we have to locally look at sheriffs, council members, stuff like that. You know what I mean? And so even, for example, So we got a new president, right?
Mm-hmm.
We need to watch him very closely now to see what he does, what he supports, what he doesn't support. This will tell you if you got the right one or not whether or not he's got an elephant or a donkey on his party. That tells
Right,
you
right.
nothing. What is he doing? What is he supporting? What is he not supporting? I think we need to start looking. I think we need to change our perspective. That's what's going to get us there. We need to look at it through a different lens. I think for the longest time we've expected right to just be right because it's right. Well, they've showed you it's not. Right is what we tell you it is. You know what I mean? So if that's how we're going to play, then we need to get some. Like I said, we got Carrio's law in Buffalo. There's a George Floyd piece that they're trying to get pushed up there. I feel like there's no reason why we can't start a movement, get these things to spread, possibly get them, get them to go federal, or something. You know what I mean? There has to be something we can do, but I think it starts with keeping your hands on the pulse of your community, and lifting your voice as high as you can. Where you are is where it starts.
I had a conversation, and I shared this with the brothers on the Brothers Call this past week with a couple of police officers here locally last week. Impromptu, just saw them in passing, stopped and talked to them, and I found out that they're certified for both. So they're both police officers and firefighters.
Right.
Something about that to me was not only cheap in an area where you have a lot of wealth, but inappropriate when you have so many things that can go wrong. And, with the laws changing and with so much that you need to be mindful of as an officer, there's so much that can go wrong as a firefighter. If you're first to a scene to provide, emergency care, you start CPR and then think, he's gone, and you stop, or you could, and you've broken some ribs,
right?
Now you're open to a lawsuit, right? Until the doctors on the scene are there to tell you to stop, you perform CPR. If you doing nothing but blowing fluids out the body, you keep it rolling. But there are things like that it stuff can go wrong from well-intentioned people, and I think that's the sad part about all of this, is that in a lot of these instances, you may not have what is attached to the narrative. You might not have a racist person roll up on a scene and say, "Oh, that's a black person. Their life doesn't mean anything. If they die, they die." You might have somebody who rolls up on a scene and with adrenaline going, they're like, "Hey, I got to get home to my family." And because it's the first time, or because of, being high strung, or just didn't get enough sleep the night before, make a bad decision, and boom, now they're in the middle of something that really isn't what it looks like, but it's not being prepared. It's not having adequate. Like, I think there are places that, to your point, if we pay more attention as citizens, make a lot more sense. I know a bunch of cops, know a bunch of firefighters who make a living off of overtime. They make a living off overtime. So I'm going to pull, 4 24-hour shifts. I'm going to squeeze in, a couple of 10s on them off days because I don't have nothing planned, but I want that extra bread. And, well, how's that affecting your sleep patterns?
Right.
So now are you on the job tired and nobody knows it? Nobody's catching it because he looks like he's okay.
Right.
Or she looks like she's okay. You know what I'm saying? Versus having these people paid at a wage that that's not just livable, but a really nice living, and recognizes the risk that they have, but fund their fire department. I mean, there are police departments that are being defunded, underfunded for manpower. I'm not talking about just manpower and training. Like if we can pay somebody a king's ransom because they can code my lights to come on by themselves, to think for me, oh, I sense in the room he blinked one too many times. We need to turn the lights down. I mean, you have people working on silly stuff.
Right.
If they can make a king's ransom for stuff like that, then as citizens, we should do our part to make sure that those who are providing emergency medical treatment and are providing certainly protection services for our communities are well trained, well staffed, and can be well aware of what the rules are. And I'm not trying to make an excuse for any of the examples where it's gone wrong, but I think to your point, we have to cover it on both sides to ensure justice.
I agree, and I think part of the problem is, if the department in a lot of these cases, if in the very beginning it had started out and they were very forthcoming with information, they dealt above board, even in a case where, look, being a police officer has to be a tough job. Granted, it's a job you signed up for. I wouldn't do it, but if you sign up for it, if you sign up for it, you sign up for it. So, and I appreciate what you do if you do it right. But I could see a situation happening. To your point, adrenaline is running. Most people don't grow up, having to shoot people and being in situations like that all their life. So, you're in a situation where it's for real now. This ain't Call of Duty. So, what you gonna do? And so, when I look at situations like that, my feeling is this: if everybody tells the truth and does the right thing, a lot of those, that's going to cost the city some money, most likely, but a lot of those can be dealt with. The community is open to working with. I feel like any community would be open to working with the system if we feel like we're in partnership, right? The problem is, we'll sweep this under the rug. We'll plant this. That's been seen so much. That's where, everybody's like, well, where is this distrust of the police? Man, I've seen it with my own eyes. I've seen what they do, and I've seen their bosses come in and cover for them. You know what I mean? We've seen it.
Right.
Oh, well, no, we teach this and we teach that. And you've seen that blue wall come together and just kind of cover them up. So then people are left like, well, it's us against them then, because that's the energy they gave off. You know what I mean? So, and I'm not saying all cops are bad, again, but I think that's what it comes down to, man. We're going to have to decide whether or not we're going to work together or not. But I think the communities are very open to it. I really do.
So if I were going to have one takeaway, it is that same message we've been saying for a while it remains. You've got to get involved. So I would encourage you, Daptimers, to take away from the conversation, and even your local conversations that you're having in your communities with your friends, your coworkers, et cetera, that they stem not only from how you feel and but more how you respond. And you respond by taking that activism forward and find out what's going on in your local community, what's going on around you, and how you can lend your voice to it. Where can you show up locally? What city council meetings can you be a part of? What initiatives are on the ballot? Who is your local sheriff? Who are the key stakeholders and voices in and around your community that ensure that policing and protection and emergency services are being provided by people who understand the rules, who are ensuring that everybody hired in and on staff is well trained, and that they will play within those bounds for the safety of you and your fellow citizens in your community. The takeaway: get involved. Big Dame, definitely want to take this moment to segue nicely into Health 360 2021. We have really tackled this subject well, and for some, it'd be like, the Health 360. Why now on this topic? Well, we're talking about emotional health now. We set this up well. We went through dietary trends and talked about things that are popular there, and how you can make sure that you're getting good food in your house on a daily basis and eat well, and how important that is. We talked about fitness trends, exercise, and things that are now being made available as tools and resources, and moving all the way forward with your program, and how do you pick a program that's right for you. But ultimately, it all backs up to your emotional health and wellness. And I was surprised by Big Dame just how important and vital this is to your overall health and fitness. It's not, this year's theme, it's building for better, striving for greater. Last year when we did Health 360, we just wanted to kind of identify where issues were. But this year we really said we wanted to make this actionable. We wanted to take action to make sure we're striving for better goals.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at emotional health, one of the things I thought about is, can people frame in their mind quickly what emotional health is? Do they have an idea of what it really means? What's your thought when you think about emotional health? What comes to mind? How do you define emotional health?
I mean, it's how you, in my mind, it's how you deal with your life's baggage. You know what I mean? It's how you, I mean, do you just throw it in that closet and wait 20 years and then go open the closet up and you're swamped?
Mm-hmm.
Or do you handle things as they come? How do you deal with those things? How do you process those things? Are you able to let things go? Can you walk
Mm-hmm.
away? Okay, this is not good for me. I can walk away. If this is good for me, but this is not the time for that, I can walk away. Whatever the case may be, I think that's your emotional health stems from that type of processing.
Yeah, you nailed the big three markers that most health websites cite as examples of emotional health, and things that I think people, when you want to check your emotional health, these are things you can look at. One of them is you catch yourself with self-judgment and the messaging there. We all do self-assessments, but sometimes you stem from the assessment part, which would be, man, I'm kind of slipping and slacking in the area of discipline around my workouts, or I've been missing my workouts lately. And you cross over that line into judgment.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a lazy bum.
Right.
I'm gonna have these cookies. I mean, you go to judgment and respond to that. The second is that you have curiosity. Your mind is active and you are exploring, or you're at least thinking about things that you may not know that much about. It doesn't have to be related to your health or your fitness, but when your mind is actively looking for and thirsting for new information to inform and educate the way you live, maybe it's about, where do I want to go on vacation this year? I wonder if my finances are in a place where I can make a new investment, or maybe I should start saving more. If your mind is in a curious state, it is healthy. If you are not in a curious state, it is a sign of depression. Recognizing upsetting events when they occur, and having your processor kick in and you start filtering out emotional response. So that might be immediately angered or maybe hurt, but you recognize it when it happens and recognize the need to process it. So like you said, Big Dan, those are things that's a big three catch-all for that. Now, if those things are broken emotionally, how do you feel it impacts one's approach to physical health and fitness?
I mean, I think it has a direct impact, because it's funny that you said if curiosity is not there, that's a sign of depression, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, why is that? Depression, I feel like once people hit a state of depression, be it mild, it could be a mild state or whatever. There's a level of of stagnation. You know what I mean? It's like I just want to make myself as comfortable as I can make myself right now. You know what I mean? And that's what kind of drowns out the curiosity. I think is still there, but it's drowned out because I just gotta tread water right now. You know what I mean? I can't think.
Right.
I can't think outside of that. And so I think, but what people don't realize is, so now going to the gym is that much harder, right? So if you're on a program, you've been missing your workouts. If that's why, that really needs to be dealt with. That's a real thing. You know what I mean? Things like anxiety and things like that, you actually feel that in your body. So it is physical as well as, mental. So I think there's a direct correlation, between the two. Absolutely.
Yeah. It's funny because I think, you're describing that apathy that comes when people fall into states of depression, right? And depression is just anger turned inward, right? You're really upset about not being where you want to be in some place in your life, or something not going the way you want it to go. And it could be, things on your job aren't progressing the way you want them to, or some life goal you're working towards, and you're not moving as fast. there can be a number of triggers and reasons that we get thrust into depression, but recognizing that and doing something about it is critical to your point, because you won't be able to, any change you make is temporary
Mm-hmm.
if you don't really address that root issue. And emotional health, to me, when it comes to your physical health and wellness, emotional health can inform your responses to the disappointments you're going to find, right? And there's, you and I, we were talking, we were joking, I was telling you about the workout I had the other day at the track, and just, there were things I wanted to do, and, it was real quick. I quickly learned, like, so you can get down in this stance for the back pedal, but I dare you to try to actually turn them hips the way you want to turn them.
Right.
I dare you. You will snap your hip right now. Right now, I will lay you out on this turf.
Right.
The body, right? The body will tell you what it's capable of. Those disappointments are going to occur, right? As you're on your journey, you set out in your mind, I'm going to stick to this diet, and this is what I'm going to be on. And 3 days in, there you are in your car, hovering up with a Snickers, and you're like, looking over your shoulder, don't want nobody to catch you. Well, I mean, whatever your struggle is, the disappointment's coming.
Yeah.
And if you don't deal with the root issue, you will not be able to respond to those disappointments the right way. You absorb them, you rush right to self-judgment, and then you're down the rabbit hole, right? And instead of a slight setback that you rebound from the next day, it's 6 months later, it's X number of pounds later, etc. Right? So I think, to your point, emotional health they're attached, but it is the fuel to the engine. It is the fuel to the engine. What are ways you think people can ensure their emotional health other than just the health checks? Are there foods? I mean, is there food that's helpful for that?
Well, I think definitely a healthier diet, you know what I mean, is good, because the healthier you are, the better you feel overall. You know what I mean? It's funny. I used to watch a show called Fit to Fat to Fit. I don't know if you're familiar with it.
I never saw that.
So the trainer, in an effort to understand where his clients were coming from, trying to lose weight or whatever it is, the trainer would put on, some of them sometimes 50, 60 pounds. So they just eat terribly. I mean, everything fried, sugary, put on all this weight, and then they would go through the process of getting back to where they were. So take a really fit guy, he's 175, 185 pounds, 5% body fat, he balloons up to 240, right?
Wow.
Now he's going to go back to 185, and he wants to go through that process so he can truly understand, what it feels like for these clients that he's training. Mm-hmm. And the hope was that it would make him a better trainer. One of the things that he got out of that was how hard it was to even get out of the bed in the morning. So he's like, I don't even want to, let alone go to the gym. I don't even want to get out of the bed. And then when you get to the gym and you go to doing the workouts, he's hollering, get another one, go, you can do it. But now that he's in that position, it's like, how in the world can you even function? You know what I mean? It was really eye-opening for him. But I think, most time when people get to a position of being unhealthy, or overweight or what have you, it doesn't happen overnight. We wake up one day and find ourselves, man, you know what? I need to go get a subscription to the gym, and I need to start going back. I need to get on a program. It hits you all of a sudden. So all that time, that weight, not only is it weighing you down, it's literally weighing you down mentally too. You might not like what you see in the mirror. You know what I mean? Right, you're not talking about it. You haven't said anything for 20 years, but you see a difference. Man, I need to, that's a little bigger than you can't suck it in, but so much. And then it's coming out, So, I think there's definitely healthy eating. I don't know of any particular foods that are going to do any particular thing, but I just think healthy eating overall will serve you very well in keeping your emotional health.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm going to cite my conversation with Dr. Malik White when, I had my event a couple weeks ago. One of the things that he really emphasized, and it echoed things you had shared, having made the shift to being vegan.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Fruits, vegetables are a life source. They are a life source. And I think, one of the first things, and I think I've said this earlier in this series, one of the first things I recognized when making the shift and really prioritizing putting great food in my body within days,
Mm-hmm.
just the clarity, because you don't have trans fats and all those negative processed elements in the food you're eating.
Mm-hmm.
And so your body is having an easier time processing, turning stuff into energy, and using it to fuel the right things in your body, right? As opposed to using the fuel you have to counteract all this negative stuff that you're causing in your body.
Yep.
And so I think, to your point, when people talk about, when we've talked this series about dietary trends, fitness trends, getting the right plan, and now emotional health, the emotional health is impacted by what you put in. So one of the things I think is really key is any dietary plan. There's some plans that'll say, oh, you just need to get more protein, don't eat any carbs. Some will say, well, you need your carbs, but you have these carbs to have by this time of day. What you need to do with any plan, if you want to maintain your emotional health, get a plan that emphasizes fruits and vegetables. Natural ingredients in your body will produce an immediate change. And by immediate, I'm not talking about the next second, but the immediate being within days, you will recognize a change. If you're someone who started and stopped, if you're someone who has a history of I make progress, then I let myself off the hook, and then I balloon up, and then I got years of, if that's your journey, make the shift to incorporate into your lifestyle of health lots of fruits, lots of vegetables, and educate yourself about this stuff. It's not like you with YouTube, with Twitter, with TikTok, with Instagram. There are tons of people you can follow who will give you great tips. But treat yourself, treat your body to the benefit of putting great fuel in the tank. It will change. It'll help you fight better. Doesn't mean you're going to win every fight, because you're still going to lose. You're still going to catch some L's along the way. But and the ability to rebound from those L's is going to be based on what you got in there. So I think that's one of the things. The other thing, Big Dame, that comes to mind, and I'd love you to talk a little bit about, is the power of relationships, the power of the right relationships on your journey. You've been incredibly encouraging. Malik's been incredibly encouraging. I think we've got Los. I've got friends around. We are family. We're encouraging each other on this journey. I talked about the group of the fellas, that went to high school with. There's 6 of us on our text string. We're keeping up with each other on what we're doing in health. And, guys are sharing their workouts, taking videos from their morning runs. Alex today I got up 50 J's at lunchtime and I did my cardio workout, right? Like, so there's that accountability, but it's coming from a positive source.
Right.
To you, how important is that? How important is it to do it with other people?
Super, super important, because you need that accountability, for one. I think that's probably the most important piece. Not only that, the support. To have somebody telling you, man, you look good, man. Your face looks slimmer, boy. I can see you glowing. Your skin, I can see you. I mean, that feels good. You know what I mean? When you sitting here eating, you on week 8 or 9 or 10, and you done forgot what pizza tastes like, but you start getting that feeling. Or you start getting that feeling for a chicken wing or whatever it is, you know what I mean? And somebody's telling you, man, or is that a new sweater? Oh, no, I pulled this out. I haven't been able to wear it in 5 years, but look, it still looks good. Man, you look good. When you get that kind of encouragement, it's like, it makes that pizza, that feeling for that pizza goes away. It's like, okay, I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to stick with it. Also, the accountability, you know what I mean? When it's like, man, it's Saturday morning. I don't have to go today, and then somebody hitting you up like, man, get up. I told you, get up. Let's go. Let's do it. Man, all right. I can't let the fellas down. I can't let myself down. It's very, very important. The good book says it's not good for man to be alone. So I mean, I think he knew what he was talking about. You
Right.
can you you can reason with yourself when you're alone. You can make an excuse for anything when it's just you.
Mhm.
But if I say, man, I'm gonna go rob this bank because see, they're not gonna know me because I'm not from here. So I'm gonna go over there and I really need to do it. So it's really not bad because I need to feed my daughter. So you make all these excuses and then you can look at me and say, are you out of your mind? You going to jail. Go get a
Right.
job. You don't need to rob a bank.
Right.
Go get a job. Something. I mean,
Right.
I mean, it's like that. But on a serious level, that's what it is, man. You need people. We were built to be in relationship. You know what I'm saying? We were built for that. So I think it only enhances your journey. It will ensure that you stay on your journey. And yeah, it's definitely a big thing. Big thing.
I think it is, man, and I love that it's emphasized in all of this. There's, I'm aware of the fact there are people who, most of their life has been, especially the people who maybe, the fitness game got away from a long time ago,
Right.
or maybe it was never there. And the battle to get to where you want to be, or where you hope to be, or where you're afraid to dream you can get, is too great. And so there's no one around you. And, when Dame and I started talking about doing this, one of the things we were intentional about is trying to make available a simple plan, some of the stuff that we talked about. So I'm proud to say up on the website, you'll be able to find the Health 360 2021 tab. And underneath that tab are a few things we think are going to be valuable. We've got a couple simple things you can do from a dietary standpoint. None of this stuff is like rocket science. None of this stuff is stuff that we went to school to learn, but they're things that we've done and are doing. And so the results that we're talking about, the kind of changes in the way we think and share with each other, all of that has happened as a result of doing these things or eating these meals and doing this exercise. And, as much as we can learn and share and make available, we will, because the goal is this is the only body you got, right? And it's the only shot at life that we know of that you're going to have at this life. I mean, if you're a person of reincarnation, you're not coming back as you. You're not going to get to do this over again. So you want to make the most of it. Today is a once in a lifetime opportunity. Tomorrow, should you be blessed to see it, once in a lifetime, you'll never see that day again. And so with every chance that you have, you want to make those days count. So we're just trying to make Health 360 a resource that helps other people live a better life. Big Dame, as we close out Health 360 2021, are there closing thoughts that you have, insights you want to share before we get to Dap DNA? I know you got a closing nugget, but when you think about this year's plan, is there a thought that comes to mind that you want to kind of put a pin on?
Man, I think just take each day as it comes, because we laid it out. The diet trends, the fitness trends, the plan, the emotional side of it. So the tools are there, but if you don't put them to work, it doesn't matter. So just put one foot in front of the other and do it. You know what I mean? That's really all it is to it. We got some recipes or some meals on the website. Just do something. And if you fall off, get back on. It's that simple. It's not that big of a deal. It's not. Something is better than nothing, in your fitness journey. So if you walk one day, it's better than not walking. You know what I mean? Just do what you can when you can, and build from there. Because Rome wasn't built in a day, and neither will you. So
you said if you fall off, just get back on. I immediately cracked up. The show is all about authenticity and transparency. That's who we are. And so I'll share with you, Daptimers, I fell off last weekend. I told Big Dame I was the pizza guy. I was craving pizza, and I had been craving pizza for like weeks. I haven't been eating any meat, any pork, any beef. I've been on my little, vegan grind. But it was killing me, Dame. I was like, man, I need to get this slice of pizza out of my system. So I went and got a small pizza, right, from a spot I trusted, used his locally grown stuff and all that. I was hyped, smelled amazing. By amazing, I mean amazing. And so knocked out the first slice. And I was really, now at this point, I'm like 2 seconds from patting myself on the back because I'm like, yo, I'm pretty much almost full off one slice. I know I'm not even gonna eat a small pizza. Hit the second slice, clearly full. My body started talking immediately. Oh, so you got that out of your system, huh? All right. Let me show you what we do with that kind of food now. Body ran through that, bro. Ran through it. Didn't give me no love for that. I got no pleasure out of the 2 slices of pizza. Now, does it mean the pizza's gone forever? Probably, maybe 90% sure I won't be on no pizza like that. But what was interesting, and as I shared it with you guys on Sunday night, the real nugget for me is that it gave me an idea of how far I've come, right? Mm-hmm. And then the second piece was, okay, you got to get up and get back, which is why I went and worked out Sunday night, because I was like, it just mentally, and this is, again, we talked about emotional health. This is where the emotional health kicks in, because emotionally I was like, you don't want to sit on that. Right. So go get you some little extra work in. And it felt great. But nobody had to prod me like, yeah, ate that pizza, huh? Okay, you gonna give me another 2 miles because you ate that pizza. It was like, that came out of me. Right. And I think that's what you want. You want to get to a point where you're driven towards your own success. You don't necessarily need somebody harping over you. But when you fall, it helps to hear a fellow comrade who's in the trenches with you say, hey, don't beat yourself up. You can get back after it tomorrow, you know, and you learn from it. So, man, I appreciate, as always, doing these series. Big Dame, I know you got some DAP DNA for us. Dame's nugget of wisdom. What will it be to close out Health 360 2021?
Man, we're going to take a ride with Pops, man. We're going to welcome you to Pops Corner. Here's where we show our respect to fathers and fatherly insight by sharing some of the wisdom that we received along the way. This is just our way of honoring a father's wisdom, where life and lessons go hand in hand. So this one is kind of like a hybrid of sorts. So I first heard this one from Pop, but it's actually, I found out where he got it from, which was from the good book. So,
okay.
But basically he just told me one day, he said, man, look, don't worry about tomorrow. Tomorrow will worry about itself. Every day has enough trouble of its own. I said, okay. I thought he was a genius, and then I found out he plagiarized from the good book. But yeah, man, don't worry about tomorrow. And it goes perfectly with what we've been talking about. Don't worry about tomorrow. Tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own. And that's it in a nutshell. That's how we close out Health 360 2021. Tomorrow will get here when it gets here. And when it gets here, you'll deal with it. As we talked about emotional health, that's part of it. Emotional health is about your processing information. That's what we're doing as we go through life. Every day you get up, from the moment your feet hit the ground and you start moving, you're processing, brushing your teeth, putting your contacts in, what am I going to wear? What am I going to eat? Am I going to work out? Am I not going? What am I going to watch? I'm going to work. I got to get gas. I got to go. It's all day, every day. You're processing. How you process that will dictate how good your emotional health is. If you're in traffic and you're losing your mind because you're in a traffic jam and people are driving crazy, boom, there's a ding. You're getting affected. How do you deal with that? Do you deal with it in a healthy way, or do you deal with it in an unhealthy way? Do you use that time stuck in traffic as maybe you can listen to something that puts your mind in a good headspace? Maybe you can work on something, that you've been wanting to work on while you have the time. Or do you let the time work you? Do you just sit there frustrated and mad and angry and thinking about every negative thing you can think about while you're in traffic? That's up to you. But what I do know is tomorrow will worry about itself. But as far as today, as far as right now, what are you going to do positively with your life? That's on you. We can't put that on everybody else. We can't put our stuff on everybody else. Once you start moving, what are you going to do? How are you going to do it? And then just do it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what happens. If you got a workout to get to, you're going to get to it. Get to it. If you're not, you're not. But whatever you do, don't let it be because you got something going on tomorrow, because tomorrow's a long ways away. So don't worry about tomorrow. Tomorrow will worry about itself. But if you worry about today, that's where you are. We're in the present, and that's what we need to take care of, because that's what we can control. So
mic drop.
Tis all, man. Tis all. It's all I got.
Big Dame drops another nugget. Yo, Daptimers, I would be remiss if I didn't tell you, we appreciate all of our partners, especially the ones that have been down since day one. We've told you about Harrell Eyewear. We've told you about how we're feeling, but so has DICU. They have been with us from the very beginning. And this young entrepreneur who's creeping up on her 13th birthday is continuing to do great things. Their all natural organic bath and beauty products are an integral part of every health and wellness routine. They should be, at least, because once you work out, get that sweat off, you need to make sure you get rid of the funk. We are anti-funk around here at DICU. So visit at Daptime. So visit DICU's website, www.dicu.com, and check out their catalog. Get 10 things, and I guarantee you'll be happy. They're doing things with life and love. DICU 2R1. Big Dame, I appreciate, as always, the conversation, the richness of thought, the passion, conviction behind your beliefs. Pete Nice for always putting the needle on the record on the one. Thank you, and putting the scratches in place on the break. But the three of us would definitely not be at all complete if we didn't thank you, Daptimers, for listening and tuning in. As Big Dame told you at the outset, whether you're checking us out on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, or now on Daptime TV, make sure you subscribe. And if you are checking us on YouTube at Daptime TV, do us a favor. Not only subscribe, but hit that notification bell so you can catch everything that we drop, and share it with some others. Bring them into the conversation. You can join the conversation by visiting on our website, www.dicu.com, and drop your email in the subscription box, and we'll communicate with you. And if you share something that we share on air, we will send you a special VIP Dap Pack I know you will want. Check out the Dap Shop. Got plenty of good stuff there. And I heard from Big Dame's Lab of Secrets, there's some stuff coming for spring 2021, especially tied to Health 360, that you will only be able to get if you drop in your email, H3602021, I'm in. So that is the code. Until we connect with you the next time, you can catch us on all social media channels. On Instagram, we are at Daptime21. On Twitter, we are Dap_time, and on Facebook at Daptime. But whatever you do, however you do it, we will leave you as we always do. When you wake up in the morning, you look in the mirror, there is your competition. We out. Peace.